Hi, my name is Elizabeth Ayala, and this is a guide to the California ballot initiatives in the November 2016 election. The video you're watching covers just a couple of the ballots as part of a series of videos. This video you're watching is going to cover Propositions 59, 60, 61, 63, and 64. Notice that I skipped 62 because I lumped both death penalty related ballot initiatives into one video. Proposition 59 is an advisory proposition. Corporations, political spending, federal constitutional protections. It asks voters whether California's elected officials should use their authority to propose and ratify an amendment or amendments to the U.S. Constitution related to Citizens United versus FEC ruling in Money in Politics, which took place in 2010. The proposed amendment to the U.S. Constitution would reverse the effects of Citizens United and related court decisions, allowing government to impose more limits on political campaign contributions and spending, and make it clear that the rights in the Constitution are for natural persons only. However, when you vote yes, it's not changing the U.S. Constitution. This is an advisory measure only, has no legal effect, and does not require actually any particular action by the U.S. Congress or the California legislature. It's more of a vote to express voter views. Supporters say that corporations and billionaires should not be allowed to continue to buy elections, yet that the Supreme Court gave corporations the right to spend unlimited amounts of money in our elections. Supporters also say overturning Citizens United will open the way to meaningful campaign finance reform that will return ownership of our elections back to ordinary Americans. And so voting yes is signaling that that is a desire for our state legislature to take action for the U.S. Constitution. Opponents say it's a waste of your tax dollars because it will not change actual law. Our ballots should not be clogged with pointless, non-binding measures. Opponents also say instead of working to amend the Constitution, we should work to require the disclosure, so the reporting, of political contributions within 24 hours of receipt, year-round. For Proposition 59, there's actually very little money involved in this ballot initiative. Only $206,000 had been raised in support of Proposition 59 as of October 16th. The Next Generation California Committee was founded by Tom Steyer, but he doesn't necessarily financially support the PAC. He's directly giving money supporting the cigarette tax, however. So it's an entity founded by Tom Steyer. The California Democratic Party is number 2 donor, and the number 3 donor is a nonprofit organization, Vocal USA Philanthropy. There is no recorded funding for the opposition. Proposition 60, adult films, condoms, and health requirements. So some background. Workplace safety regulator Cal OSHA and Los Angeles County already require the use of condoms in porn. And Los Angeles County is where the majority of porn in the state of California is filmed. This prop would place into the California Labor Code additional requirements. Some of those requirements are providing condoms, ensuring that performers use them, and being able to prove that they did so. Producers would have to be licensed by Cal OSHA, pay for the cost of STI prevention vaccines, testing, and medical exams, and the time period for enforcement of violations would be expanded, and other provisions. Any California resident could request Cal OSHA address an alleged violation, and if Cal OSHA didn't take action, the individual that is, could file a civil lawsuit against the adult film industry producer or distributor or actor. The enforcement would be about $1 million per year, and lost taxes potentially because some porn filmmakers would rather move than comply with this new law. Supporters say that Prop 60 closes loopholes in existing law and improved enforcement so that the adult film industry is held to same workplace protection that other industries have to follow. Prop 60 is supported by numerous medical and public health organizations. Supporters also include. Opponents say that it's opposed by numerous civil rights organizations and public health organizations and business leaders as well, and that Prop 60 creates a dangerous new private right of action. They're referring to the ability to sue, authorizing any resident of California to file a lawsuit directly against adult film producers and distributors, and that the porn industry would leave California and that state would lose taxes. So something around the lawsuits is note to make is that it would make public the private residence of persons involved in the porn industries, producers, or sex workers alike, because the civil lawsuit would make it public nature. Total raised in support, $4.9 million, all from the AIDS Healthcare Foundation. Total raised against All of these funders are related to the porn industry: Wicked Pictures, Greenberg and affiliated entities, Stagliano and affiliated entities. They're all producers or film companies within the porn industry. This data is up to date as of October 16th. Proposition 61, State Prescription Drug Purchases Pricing Standards. There's the potential for the state to realize drug cost reductions through this initiative, but there are major uncertainties about the amount of savings. Prop 61 would generally prohibit state agencies from paying more for prescription drugs than the lowest price paid by the federal VA. This would apply whether the state purchases directly or indirectly through reimbursements. And it would apply to Medi-Cal fee-for-service programs, which serves just 25% of the Medi-Cal enrollees, but it's not to its managed care system, which serves the remaining 75% of Medi-Cal enrollees. And it would require the Department of Health Care Services to verify that state agencies are paying the same or less than the lowest price paid by the VA on a drug-by-drug basis. Supporters include the AARP from California, as found in Ballotopedia, and they provided some of this information, that skyrocketing prescription prices are a matter of life and death, that this will end price gouging, and it empowers the state to negotiate the same or better deals for taxpayers as paid by the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs. Opponents say that Prop 61 only covers an arbitrary group of patients within the Medi-Cal program, and more than 88% of Californians are excluded, and that drug companies could retaliate or react by eliminating drug discounts that the state currently receives, increasing state prescription costs instead of reducing them. So again, this is speculation, which includes the potential that drug manufacturers might try to raise the VA drug prices. Drug manufacturers could also decline to offer California some drugs purchased by the VA. All again, this is retaliation. The fiscal effects is unknown because we do not know how the drug companies are going to react if this bill is passed. This is turning out to be, as of October 16th, the most expensive proposition battle in California history. Total raised in support is $14 million by the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, the union, the California Nurses Association, and several individual donors under $1,000. However, the total raised against is over $86 million, and all top three funders are drug companies. In fact, all top 10 donors in opposition are drug companies, all of them. Proposition 63, Firearms, Ammunition Sales. Individuals would have to obtain and pay for a 4-year permit from the Department of Justice to buy ammunition. Dealers would have to check that buyers have such permits, and the permits would be revoked from persons who become prohibited. It includes various regulations related to the sale of ammunition, and persons convicted of stealing a firearm would be prohibited from possessing firearms. A new court process would be set up to ensure that these prohibited individuals don't continue to have firearms, and new reporting requirements would be established. The maximum penalty for possession of large capacity magazines would also be increased. Fiscal effects are guessed to be in the tens of millions due to increased regulation, but also would be offset by fees. Supporters of Prop 63 say it will save lives by preventing dangerous criminals, domestic abusers, and the dangerously mentally ill from obtaining and using deadly weapons, and that it will protect the right of law-abiding Californians to own guns for self-defense, hunting, and recreation. Opponents of Prop 63 say that it will burden the court system with the enforcement of flawed laws, and that it's opposed by the law enforcement community and civil rights groups because it will burden law-abiding citizens without keeping violent criminals from accessing firearms and ammunition. $5 million has been raised in support of Prop 63 from the California Democratic Party, a political action committee set up for Gavin Newsom's campaign for lieutenant governor, and Sean Parker. Sean Parker is the founder of Napster and the first president of Facebook. He's a major funder for the effort to legalize marijuana in Prop 64. The total raised against is $654,000, or less than $1 million as of October 16th. Raised by California Rifle and Pistol Association, a Fullerton-based lobby group, the National Rifle Association, and another PAC called Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms. Proposition 64, Marijuana. It legalizes marijuana for adults ages 21 and over. Currently, it's illegal in California to cultivate or use marijuana, except that marijuana may be used by individuals for any age for medical purposes if recommended by a doctor. Federal law prohibits the possession or use of marijuana even for medical purposes. So a yes vote is not changing federal law, it's just changing state law. It sets a specific tax on marijuana sales, 15% on retail sales, cultivation tax of $9.25 per ounce of flowers of marijuana, and $2.75 per ounce of leaves, in addition to sales taxes at the point of sale. It establishes specific allocations for the revenue. It names state agencies to license and regulate the marijuana industry and also allows local regulation and taxation. It imposes advertising and labeling standards and restrictions for marijuana products, so marijuana gummies, for example, cannot be produced, and would prohibit marketing and advertising directly to minors, many of the similar provisions related to cigarette taxes. It permits the resentencing of individuals previously convicted for activities now made legal. So if you were previously convicted of marijuana offense, it resentences those individuals automatically, and the destruction of records for prior marijuana convictions. So something to be really careful about is that the fiscal effects are unclear. Estimates are from the high hundreds of millions of dollars to over $1 billion annually in revenue. The amount really just depends on how state and local government regulates it and taxes it, whether the federal government enforces federal laws, and how marijuana prices and consumption change in the open market. It would most likely reduce government costs for incarceration by tens of millions of dollars annually, though, because of the decline of marijuana offenders now in state prisons and county jails. So it's going to increase revenue in the state. It's just unknown what the magnitude will be. Supporters say it would bring in revenues over $1 billion and could save tens of millions of dollars in reduced law enforcement costs. It would end the criminalization of marijuana by creating a safe, legal, and comprehensive system for adult use while protecting our children. And supporters say it adopts the best practices from other states that have already legalized adult marijuana use. Opponents say it would increase highway fatalities because it has no DUI standard for marijuana, and that it would prohibit local governments from banning indoor residential growing of marijuana, even if next to an elementary school, and if the crop is limited to 6 plants. So basically, a individual growing it within their own yard or in their own home. Proposition 64 would allow felons who have meth and heroin convictions to be licensed to sell marijuana, is the final thing that opponents listed in one of the basic summaries. The total raised in support is $22 million. Parker and affiliated entities, Fund for Policy Reform, Daniel Lewis, and Henry Van Armingen. So Sean Parker, as you recall, is the founder of Napster and the first president of Facebook. It appears that both his businesses and he personally gave to the campaign. He's also a major funder of Prop 63 on firearm sales. Total raised against is $2.5 million. The individual Julie Schauer, SAM Action, which stands for Smart Approaches to Marijuana. It's founded by a group of politician-related persons, and the Union California Teamsters Public Affairs Council is the number 3 donor against. All this data is accurate as of October 16th. This was just a few of the ballot initiatives, and you can watch the other videos in the series. After doing your own homework, perhaps you may still be in doubt. Some general advice is when in doubt, even when doing your homework, just vote no. Thank you, and I hope this has been helpful.